So could you tell me a little bit about Cookstove and what you guys do and what you guys are doing in terms of the environmental issues and climate change and such?
Sure. So there are about 500 million households that cook over either open fires or very traditional stoves. And those traditional stoves and open fires emit 25% of the world's black carbon. They also contribute in certain countries up to 30% of the outdoor air pollution. They also contribute to 4 million deaths a year and take anywhere from 5 to 8 hours of a woman's time a day. So cooking in this traditional manner and over open fires has a climate impact, a deforestation impact because of the wood that's chopped down for cooking, has a health impact for women and children, and has a time and livelihoods impact in terms of the amount of time it takes for women. So cookstoves are a very effective way to engage grassroots women in really helping to control the level of emissions into our atmosphere.
That's great. So how do you feel that young people in particular can be important in fighting climate change and with the particular issues that you're working on?
Sure. You know, young people are critical and young women are really critical. Young women in particular, we work with the Girl Scouts throughout Africa, and the Girl Guides are like the Girl Scouts here, and they are very focused on ensuring that they have time, proper health, and a good environment to live in to achieve their dreams. And they don't want to be cooking over open fires and traditional stoves. And so they're actively involved in advocating women parliamentarians and others to have policy that supports the development of a market for cleaner cookstoves and fuels in their countries. Young people are also inheriting this planet, and so they inherently would like to have a planet that is one with trees, clean air, etc. And so by moving 500 million households to cleaner stoves and fuels, each household will reduce 2 to 3 tons of CO2 and corresponding black carbon. So you do have a huge effect that the youth of today can have by advocating for this movement to cleaner energy.
And do you feel that education and climate education about what it is and the science and also the impacts one can make is also important in doing this?
It's critical. I'll give you a very concrete example in Ghana where we're working with the Ministry of Education to include education on the harmful effects of traditional cooking practices right into the primary school curriculum. So as soon as boys and girls understand this problem and the fact that there are solutions, the more likely they are to be able to engage with it. The Girl Guides as well in Ghana and Kenya are engaged in this issue of really proliferating the awareness and the fact that people can change their cooking practices today, and how that not only will support them in the future, but also it can help reduce the deforestation occurring in their countries as well.
And there's also a lot to be said about the food that one is eating as well as the way it's being cooked. Do you guys work with that at all? Because
absolutely, we work with the World Food Program in humanitarian situations. So these days, with 63 million individuals being displaced and living in camps and often in longer settings, yes, they get access to food through the World Food Program, but often not enough clean fuel to be able to cook that food. And so you find in different settings, in camp settings, women and girls often are leaving the safety of those settings, going outside of the camps to gather the additional fuel wood that's required to cook that food. So partnership between those who are providing the food and ensuring that there's adequate clean fuel and clean cooking practices is absolutely critical. And the other piece, it's a good thing that you bring up, is that as people use cleaner, more efficient burning stoves, they have to purchase less fuel. Whether you're buying charcoal or you're buying, any kind of renewable ethanol fuel. And when you have to buy less fuel, you've got more money left over, and we're seeing that goes towards better nutrition in many of these families as well.
I see. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you very much.
A lot.
Pleasure to meet you.
You too.
Yeah.